In this video, I'll show you May 31st, 2023, civil rights YouTuber Jeff Gray was standing in front of Ocean Springs City Hall in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, holding a sign that read, "God bless the homeless vets." When Officer Wilder of the Ocean Springs Police Department approached him, Mr. Gray was in Ocean Springs as part of several stops along the Mississippi Gulf Coast to investigate how each city responded to the attempted exercise of his First Amendment rights. The interaction that followed was shared on his YouTube channel.
What's up? God bless her woman today. Good morning, sir.
What are we doing, man?
God bless homeless veterans.
Huh?
God bless our homeless veterans.
Okay, so what are we doing?
God bless the homeless veterans.
I heard you the first time. Why don't you answer my question? What are you doing?
God bless the homeless veterans.
All right, you need to go somewhere else
Why is that?
because you can't solicit here on the property.
God bless the homeless veterans.
God bless them too. Have a nice day. I'm a veteran myself. Move.
God bless the homeless veterans.
ID, please.
For what?
Did I just tell you to move?
Why are you telling me?
Because you can't be here.
Why?
Because I said.
Just because you said?
Yeah, you're on city property.
Yeah, I am.
Are you soliciting money?
God bless the homeless veterans.
Again, what are you doing?
God bless the homeless veterans. God.
I
Hello.
can read.
Shh, shh, shh. Listen to me.
You're fixing to piss me off.
I don't give a damn if I piss you off or not.
Really?
God, is pissing you off have any kind of relevance on whether what I'm doing?
Yeah, you can't be here.
Chill it out.
No, I'm not telling you.
De-escalate and calm down.
No, I already
Back
told
off
you
a
what you
little.
need to do.
Back off a little before you make a big mistake.
Big mistake, really?
Yeah.
No,
Let me
you're
show
making a mistake.
You're
sir.
asking me what I'm doing. I've
Yep.
told you how many times.
You didn't tell me.
God bless
I can read.
the homeless veterans. Now, do you understand what I'm doing?
Oh, you want to play that game, really?
I am standing
No, I
on a
don't know
public
what you're doing.
sidewalk.
You didn't tell
In
me
front
what
of
you're
City
doing.
Hall.
You keep telling me what's on your sign. You
God
didn't tell me what you're doing.
bless the homeless veterans. What do you not get about that?
What are you not getting understand me for you telling you to leave?
You can't tell me to leave.
I can tell you to leave.
I'm engaged in the Constitution.
Officer Wilder claims that Mr. Gray is not allowed to stand in front of City Hall and must leave, and Mr. Gray argues he's engaged in constitutionally protected activity. Although the First Amendment protects freedom of speech, the fact that an individual is engaging in First Amendment speech does not necessarily mean that they have an absolute right to remain at a government building. As the Supreme Court explained in the 1965 case of Cox versus Louisiana, quote, "The rights of free speech and assembly, while fundamental in our democratic society, still do not mean that everyone with opinions or beliefs to express may address a group at any public place and at any time." Additionally, in the 1981 case of the United States Postal Service versus Council of Greenberg Civic Associations, the Supreme Court stated that, quote, "The First Amendment does not guarantee access to property simply because it is owned or controlled by the government." However, although there are times when individuals may be removed from government property despite the fact that they are engaged in speech, it is likely that a court would conclude that Mr. Gray's removal from the area in front of the town hall violated the First Amendment. As the Supreme Court outlined in the 1983 case of Perry Education Association versus Perry Local Educators Association, government property can typically be divided into three categories: traditional public forums, limited or designated public forums, and non-public forums. Traditional public forums are places such as streets and parks that are traditionally used for general assembly and debate. Limited public forums are properties that have been specifically designated by the government is open to certain groups or topics, and non-public forums are government property that are not traditionally used for public communication. Parks, streets, and sidewalks are classic examples of traditional public forums, and in the 2000 case of Puyom versus City of Owasso, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals concluded that the steps of City Hall were a traditional public forum, holding that, quote, in the absence of a showing that the steps of this public building have been traditionally restricted, the steps of Owasso City Hall are a traditional public forum, and that expression there cannot be banned absolutely. As the Supreme Court summarized in the Perry case, quote, in places which by long tradition or by government fiat have been devoted to assembly and debate, the rights of the state to limit expressive activity are sharply circumscribed. In these quintessential public forums, the government may not prohibit all communicative activity. Additionally, the court explained that, quote, for the state to enforce a content-based exclusion, it must show that it is necessary to serve a compelling state interest, and that it is narrowly drawn to achieve that end, and that, now quoting again, the state may also enforce regulations of the time, place, and manner of expression which are content-neutral, are narrowly tailored to serve a significant government interest, and leave open ample alternative channels of communication. Here Mr. Gray was outside City Hall, which a court would likely find to be a traditional public forum, absent evidence that the area outside the ocean springs. City Hall had been traditionally restricted, and Officer Wilder seems to imply that Mr. Gray could not express himself at any time or in any way at that location. Therefore, if a court concluded that the area outside City Hall was a traditional public forum, it would almost certainly determine that Ocean Springs could not entirely restrict Mr. Gray's First Amendment activity in that area. Likewise, if the city argued that Mr. Gray was removed because of the content of his speech, it would have to prove that its content-based exclusion was necessary to serve a compelling state interest, and that the time, manner, and place restriction left open ample alternative channels for expression. Look, you got one of two choices.
Oh, I do. So you're telling me I have
officer, have one of two choices. You can respect my civil rights, or you can violate my civil rights. Which one's it going to be? I'm standing here with this sign, and I'm going to stand here. God put it in my heart. I'm not going anywhere. And you're not getting my ID. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start recording. I'm going to get my phone out right here, okay?
See this?
Yeah.
I'm recording right now, too.
Can people get body cams from city?
So
All right.
you're recording, too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
I'm
what's it
glad
going to
you're
be?
recording as well.
You've got one of two choices.
So you're telling me what I have to do.
You've got one of two choices.
Okay.
You can respect my
Well, let me
constitutional
go tell you
rights.
this.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go tell the mayor, and when the mayor comes out here to tell you to leave and you refuse, then I'm going to arrest you.
All right, if I refuse.
Okay? Yes, if you refuse.
Even though I'm engaged in constitutional
It doesn't
protected
matter.
It doesn't matter.
No, it
I'm
does
standing on a
not.
public sidewalk in front of
Because
City
you're
Hall.
allowed to move. You're allowed to leave.
I'm going to stay
You're
here.
being told.
I'm gonna stay. If the mayor comes out and tells me to leave under threat of arrest, I'll leave.
Be right back.
This is a constitutionally protected activity. I can't believe this.
All right, well, I just got off the phone
Yes, sir.
making a phone call. And
Yes,
the
sir.
thing is, you're actually on government property.
Right, I'm on
Okay.
City Hall property.
Yes, we have the right, the city hall, and me as being part of the city, can ask you to leave the property. We have that right. We own this thing. The city owns it. All right? So as a city employee, it's myself, people that work in there has asked you to leave and you refuse.
Okay, if you want me to leave,
And
I'll
you
leave.
And you refuse. Let me explain myself before you go any further.
Okay.
Because you're very confrontational. You want to tell me what I can and can't do. And you told me if I violate your rights, I'm going to be, I don't know, in trouble, I guess. I'm a vet as myself.
All right.
I understand what you're doing. That's fine.
Mhm.
They don't want you here on city property. Now, if you walked off the property, you went somewhere else, all right, not on private property, and did this, it wouldn't be a problem. You understand that?
But,
And you understand that?
I'm engaged in
Do you
constitutionally
understand that?
protected. I'm engaged.
Yes or no? It's a very simple
I'm
question. Do
engaged
you
in a
understand me?
constitutionally protected activity.
So let me explain this
This
to you
is
again.
freedom of speech and freedom
I
of
don't
religion.
care.
If you want,
Let me
if you're-
explain it.
Let me explain this again. You're trespassed. Okay, I'll leave. Now you're done. Officer Wilder initially informs Mr. Gray that he will have the mayor tell him to leave and arrest him if he fails to comply, but he later returns without the mayor and tells him he is trespassed. The relevant state trespassing statute, which is found in Section 97-17-97 of the Mississippi Code, provides that, quote, if any person shall, without authority of law, go or remain upon any premises or land of another, whether an individual, a corporation, partnership, or association, after having been forbidden to do so, either orally or in writing by any owner or lessee or custodian or other authorized person, such person or person shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. There is a limited amount of case law interpreting this statute, but while the statute does not explicitly state that it applies to government-owned public property, it is possible that a court would conclude that an individual can be convicted of trespassing on property owned by the city of Ocean Springs, which is a municipal corporation. Additionally, it is unclear whether Officer Wilder would be considered a, quote, UN, quote, authorized person who has the power to forbid individuals from remaining on the property. But absent an existing agreement between the Ocean Springs government and the police department, Mr. Gray would have a strong argument that Officer Wilder was not empowered to unilaterally decide to trespass him, although it should be noted that he claimed to be acting on behalf of the City Hall employees further. Unlike the state trespassing statute, Section 15-10 of the Ocean Springs Code of Ordinances explicitly prohibits trespassing on public property. However, the ordinance specifically defines trespassing as, quote, entering upon posted public property after regular or routine business hours without permission or without legitimate business to conduct. Therefore, because Mr. Gray was engaged in speech during regular business hours, it is highly likely that a court would conclude he could not be convicted of violating this ordinance.
How long? I gotta get.
Before you go anywhere else,
Yes, sir.
I have a right to be here.
Okay.
Let me explain the law to you again.
All right, I want
your
leave.
identification.
You want my ID? Can I reach in my pocket and
you
get
can
it?
reach in your pocket.
Okay, I'm gonna step away from you a little bit.
Because I want your ID.
Can we go over there and do this so I'm
No,
off the
right
property?
here.
Okay, my ID is right here.
Because I have a valid reason to be here, and I have a valid reason to ask you for identification.
You don't care if I'm engaged in a constitutionally protected activity. You're a military veteran.
Then go get your freaking lawyer and sue the city if you think that's a violation.
I would rather not do that.
Then do that. Because I can tell you what, you're not going to go anywhere with it. You understand me?
I would rather not do that. I would rather you respect my constitutionally protected rights, especially being a veteran.
I do
Well, you
very
honestly
much
don't.
every day.
You're trespassing me
But
off
when
of
you
public
start
property.
becoming confrontational and telling me what I can and can't do, guess what? You're gonna lose every time.
Is it illegal?
Because I know what my job is. I know what the Constitutional says. I know what the God-given right is. You're not going to tell me anything different. You understand me? You want to get confrontational? I can get confrontational. I did 20 years in the military. I collect a VA check for being disabled. I don't have a problem you holding that sign and saying that. But when somebody tells you you have to leave and you can't do it in front of a city building, guess what? You got to go. Just that simple.
I'm not answering any more questions.
Good.
You told me to leave. I'm trying to leave, but you got my ID.
Yeah, I got your ID.
You told me
now.
I was trespass. I'm leaving.
Yes, you are.
All right. You stopped me from leaving.
When I run your information, then you're really free to go.
Officer Chill, can I speak with you, sir?
Yeah, it's pronounced Gil.
Gil, I'm sorry.
Yeah, badge number 35.
All
How
right.
are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to explain to the officer here. I'm engaged in a constitutionally protected activity. This is freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly on a traditional public forum at the steps of City Hall. All I've been doing out here is politely and peacefully saying God bless the homeless veterans to people that are coming and going. I told him I'm saying God bless the homeless veterans. And now he's trespassing me off the property.
Okay.
I don't think he can do that. I think it's constitutionally, I think he's violating my civil rights doing so. So if somebody could please contact the mayor, the city manager, the city attorney, and let them know what's going on before you guys follow through with this trespass. He's trespassed me. I tried to leave, but he stopped me to get my ID. So I'm trying to comply with the trespass.
I don't know if he told you not. The way the call got reported to us was that you were out here soliciting for money, holding a sign. We don't know that until we come here and see what's going on.
Well, even if I was soliciting, it's still a civil right. Even if I was. But I'm standing here, I told him multiple times, God bless the homeless veterans. That's what I'm doing. He asked me, what are you doing? God bless the homeless veterans.
Oh, wait.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Thank you. We have city ordinances in the city, loitering, panhandling, things like that. Right? And I'm not saying you were doing any of that stuff, but we don't know that until we do our job and investigate, right? Well, after we read your sign, we see you're not asking for money. You're just expressing your freedom of speech in a public place, right?
Yes.
We can't have you loitering though. So in the city, I don't know if you're familiar with the city ordinance or not. If you stay stagnant or idle in a public place, even the sidewalk, for 30 minutes or more, that's a violation of the city ordinance here.
Officer Gill, another officer with the Ocean Springs Police Department, arrives and informs Mr. Gray of a city loitering ordinance that allegedly prohibits individuals from remaining in one place for 30 minutes or longer. The ordinance Officer Gill is referring to seems to be Section 15-10 of the Ocean Springs Code of Ordinances, which we discussed earlier in this episode in terms of its prohibition on trespassing. The ordinance defines loitering as, quote, remaining idle in essentially one location for 30 minutes or longer, and specifies that it, quote, shall include the concepts of spending time idly, loafing, or walking about aimlessly, as well as, quote, quote, hanging around. However, as with the provision regarding trespassing, the ordinance only forbids loitering on public property after posted business hours and engaging in any loud or offensive behavior or language, consuming alcoholic beverages, or generally creating a disturbance or annoyance. Here, Mr. Gray was present during business. Hours maintained a low volume and was there to bring awareness to homeless veterans, which is highly unlikely to meet the ordinance's requirements for unlawful loitering. Likewise, it is important to note that if the ordinance did prohibit loitering during business hours, it is questionable whether Mr. Gray's conduct would qualify as loitering under the ordinance, as he was engaging in speech and not idle conduct, and a court would likely find that an ordinance that generally forbade spending time idly, loafing, walking about aimlessly, and hanging around on public property was unconstitutionally vague. In the 1978 case of Papa Cristo versus City of Jacksonville, the Supreme Court held that a vagrancy ordinance that prohibited, and I'm quoting, wandering or strolling around from place to place without any lawful purpose or object was void for vagueness. Quote, both in the sense that it fails to give a person of ordinary intelligence fair notice that his contemplated conduct is forbidden by the statute, and because it encourages arbitrary and erratic arrests and convictions. We have discussed the constitutionality of loitering statutes at further length than a previous episode of ATA, and I've included a link to that episode in the description below if you'd like to learn more.
Am I trespassed?
Yeah, you're trespassed. Don't come back on the city property.
For how long?
Not for what you're doing. Now, if you got business here, you can come back and do business, but you can't just stand here with a whole sign.
I'm leaving.
Bye.
And if I don't leave, what'll happen?
Huh?
And would I be arrested if I don't leave?
Yes.
God. I don't know what to do, man. Unbelievable.
After Officer Wilder returns Mr. Gray's license, Mr. Gray leaves City Hall while the officers remain in front of the entrance. During his tour of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Mr. Gray also stopped in other parts of South Mississippi, including Waveland, Gosher, Gulfport, and Pascagoula, and had varying experiences in each city. In an article by a local news station, Mr. Gray reported that his experience in Waveland was similar to his interaction with officers in Ocean Springs, and Sergeant Joffrey Ahn of the Cleveland Police Department informed him that he would, and I'm quoting, go to jail, no questions asked, regardless of whether he was engaged in a constitutionally protected activity. However, Mr. Gray stated that his experiences in other cities differed and described his interactions in Gulfport, Pascagoula, and Gosher as positive. In Gosher, Mr. Gray spoke with the mayor, who stated in the same article that Mr. Gray was very civil, and Gosher Police Chief David Bever responded that Mr. Gray did not do anything that would warrant an interaction with officers, and that the First Amendment protected his activities. Chief Dunstan of the Ocean Springs Police reported that the department is performing an internal review and that they are, quote, certainly going to remedy any problems that they found with the officers' actions. It is unknown whether Mr. Gray plans to file a lawsuit based on any of his interactions, but some of his previous encounters with law enforcement have resulted in civil rights lawsuits. Overall, the Ocean Springs officers get an F for trespassing Mr. Gray from public property. For simply engaging in First Amendment protected speech, disregarding and dismissing Mr. Gray's constitutional rights, and demonstrating a startling lack of knowledge regarding the Constitution and even Ocean Springs ordinances. In particular, Officer Wilder maintained an aggressive and confrontational demeanor throughout the encounter and openly admitted that he did not care that Mr. Gray was engaged in protected speech. Although it seems that Officer Wilder may have been acting on instructions from a City Hall employee as a police officer. He should have been aware that the First Amendment prohibited the city from trespassing Mr. Gray for engaging in protected activity. Additionally, while Officer Gill was far less hostile than Officer Wilder, he attempted to justify Mr. Gray's removal from the property by misrepresenting the prohibitions against loitering in the City Code of Ordinances. And his interpretation of the loitering ordinances banning individuals from remaining in one place for 30 minutes in all situations was not only inaccurate, it was likely unconstitutional. Mr. Gray gets an A+ for maintaining a calm and professional demeanor throughout the encounter, respectfully but sternly challenging the officer's arguments and actions, and attempting to have constructive conversations with both Officer Wilder and Officer Gill. At no point did Mr. Gray violate the law, and he made sure to promptly comply with the trespass order after verbally challenging its constitutionality. We have covered Mr. Gray's interaction several times here on ATA. Thank you very much for watching the video. Subscribe our channel for next video.